Hey YouTube, today we're going to be looking at a couple 1911s and I'm going to do my best to, we've been on this semi-custom 1911 kick here for about the past week or so, and I'm going to do my best to show you what one compares to next to a common 1911 you would buy off the shelf, a very common one. So before we go any further, I'm going to show you neither one of these 1911s have anything in them, and we are clear to make this video. I know a lot of people complain about me doing this, but it is a YouTube rule, and they have crazy stuff going on now, and they don't really like gun people. So what we have here, this is a Dan Wesson Valor, however you want to pronounce it. And this is chambered in 45 ACP. And this is a semi-custom, very nice, high-quality 1911. And I've been showing this next to a couple other things here. I've been showing it next to a highly custom Wilson Combat and stuff like that. And I've been telling people that this is a very good bang for your buck if you want to take that next step up into the 1911 world. Now, what I'm going to do in today's video, I'm going to take a step down and show you what it is. And I've had a couple of people request I show like a Springfield or Kimber or something like that. And I don't own a Kimber. I'm sorry, I just do not own one. And I don't own a Springfield anymore. I used to have one, a Springfield TRP, which would get a good one to show it next to. But what I do have is I have an ordinary Colt that I'm going to show, and we're going to show you what some of the differences are. Now this one is a Colt Government 1911. This one happens to be a Series 70, and this is a actual poor way to do this, but it's the best way I know how today. I am going to look into getting one of the cheaper model Turkish ones, like a T-Sis or something like that, and do that next to one. But right now we're going to do this regular Government model. So this is a Series 70, and what makes this one a poor example is this one was actually built in the mid-70s. So this is when they were still at the top of their game, Colt was. Now I've got a couple of these, but this is the one I'm going to use because it's a common Government model. There's nothing, no frills, no bells, no whistles, no hand fitting, nothing done on this. I have a Gold Cup that would be a poor example because that one's an exceptional gun, and that one has been hand fitted and everything like that. That's what they did. That's what made the difference. So when we initially look at this gun, this is what you would go buy off the shelf if you were to buy a Colt today. They have the Colt Classic Series. I think you can get them in stainless and blued finish, and they're really not that much different, folks, in a Kimber or a Springfield or something like that. They're all around the same price range. I think the Colt may cost a little bit more, but you're usually paying for the board right here, the Colt. Let me see if I can find that little horse right there. That one, that's what costs all the money. Yeah, when you get those medallions on there that say Colt, they tend to charge a little bit more. I'm just joking about that, but I am a Colt person, so I do like Colt firearms, but they do tend to command quite a little bit of a premium on them. So if you were to go buy one, this is something that you would pick up. This is a Government model. And in my opinion, this is a little bit better quality gun than you're going to get today if you were to buy a Colt. This one's got a better finish on it. If you can see, this finish is like a mirror on the side of it. I've showed this gun before on here. And they just didn't pay a lot more attention to detail in the 70s than they seem to do right now. But looking at it initially, it looks like a real nice gun. But we're going to take a closer look and show you some of the differences here. Now, if you look real close here at the slide, it is pretty well finished off. This isn't bad. I don't have a newer one here to compare, but when you start looking underneath here, right underneath the slide, this is pretty sharp. So this could snag if you were to use this as a carry gun. And if you look at the barrel bushing, it's just kind of sharp edges on it. The actual frame itself is done pretty well, in my opinion. They did a pretty good job on it. And look at the ends of this frame, it's pretty well finished off, but it's not for say D-Bird. If you look underneath this slide here, you can see it's kind of sharp. You know, it just comes to an abrupt halt, I guess you could say, when they machine the end of the slide, which there's nothing wrong with that. Now, this is a no frills. We're not going to compare accessories or how this thing's accessorized, because that wouldn't be fair. This is just a regular government model, so we're not going to point out the fact it doesn't have undercut or anything like that, or any kind of front checkering or anything like that. We're not going to compare features to it. We're just going to compare build quality. So if you look in the back, this Colt here is got a fairly decent frame to slide fit. Now, if you take this thing here, there's virtually no movement here. There's a little bit, but virtually no movement, not enough to write home about. So it's a pretty good fit. I've seen some newer Colts that were terrible, though, folks. So keep that in mind. This is when they've paid attention to quality. It's when people cared about their jobs and everything. And like the newer grips aren't going to be as nice as these walnut grips or anything, but we don't care about that. We care about build quality. Let's look at very close here. Let's look at the edge of the slide right here. Like I said, it's just an abrupt end. The bottom of the slide cutout right here is a little bit sharp. And let's look at real close here. See, if you look at the edge of this this barrel bushing here, you know, it's just not finished off perfectly, and the barrel's not crowned or anything. It's just a regular barrel. This is not a match grade barrel. I think the new Colts, they come, all of them have match grade barrels. This is just a regular, you know, just a regular Colt barrel. I have a gold cup. This made like the same year. It'll say NM on it for National Match, which is a match grade barrel. Really don't even know what that means, to be honest with you. Supposedly they're more accurate. I think it's a gimmick, folks. Put it on there. A well-made barrel is a well-made barrel, and I don't think this is a bad barrel. Now we're going to look at some of the other stuff here. Now we're going to take this gun one more time. It's safe, and we're going to test this safety. Now, this is a big thing to look for in a 1911, and if you look, it works pretty good. I'm going to be quiet and let you listen. It's not a bad safety. It works fairly well on it, but it's not going to work like the Dan Wesson, as you can see. This has got a short trigger in it, because this is a government model, more like an A1. We don't care about the trigger length, but let's see how it works. Here's your mounted take up on it, and there's your trigger pull, and your reset's going to be right here, and pull. It's got a good trigger on it, but all 1911s do. Now we're going to do the real test. We're going to take this Colt here. Now, this is a pretty expensive gun, folks. This is a collectible gun, because it's a Series 70 government model, but all Colts are pretty expensive. I don't know the price range that a new Colt's going to cost now, but I'm going to say it's going to be in the zone of $1,000+ for a new Colt. And they're all going to do the same. We're going to take this Colt and we're going to shake it in our hand, and it does have what we call the Colt rattle to it. So little things like this thing right here, that's what you're going to hear mostly, is the rattle. Now, if you look at this grip safety, the fit and everything on it, I mean, it's adequate at best, but you are going to have, it's a little bit loose, but it does its job when you grab onto it. If you look underneath there, there's no kind of beveling or anything on this frame. It's just a straight shot in. This one actually does have an aluminum, a metal mainspring housing. I think the new Colts actually come with a plastic one in it, and I believe a lot of those companies like Springfield and Kimber, you'll get a plastic mainspring housing on them, and I think that's ridiculous, especially a gun that's built like a 1911, and the prices that they cost. I think you should put a metal mainspring housing in it. But all in all, these are very good guns, very reliable, very well-known, high-quality Colt 1911. Just a regular government model, no frills on it, doesn't have any fancy checkering or serrations on the top of it or anything like that. It's just a regular government model 1911. Now, if you look at that next to this Dan Wesson, We're going to do a real close up, and as you can see, the edge of the slide is very well machined off. It's deburred and all that stuff, and the same goes for up underneath here. If you look at the actual barrel bushing, it's kind of beveled on the end so it doesn't snag on anything like that. The barrel has like a little bit of a crown on the inside of it. It kind of protects the lanyards and grooves if this thing was ever to be dropped. You'll notice the edges of the slide all the way around, they're machined on it like that. Just when you rub your fingers over it, there's real smooth parts. We're not worried about checkering or anything like that. When you go back here, the fit on the actual grip safety is exceptional on this thing. And if you look at how positive it works, if you can see it just springs back into place. I'll take this thing and shake it around like I did the Colt. You're not going to hear any noises on it. The frame, the slide fit is exceptional on this. I mean, the Colt wasn't bad, but I think this one was a little bit better here. There's absolutely no movement whatsoever on it. If you'll look right around this ejection ports, everything's finished off real well. And this is a match grade barrel. It says match grade right here on it. But it's real high quality, very well fit, put together weapon, folks. And the trigger on it, we'll show you the pull on this one. The trigger's going to be better on this one than it is. There's your take up, and there's your pull. It's a little bit lighter than the Colt. And here's your release, your reset, and pull. These are VZ grips on them, so we're not going to compare stuff like that or any of the features or anything. I just want to show you the build quality on them. So let me do this side by side. Oh, the bottom of the frame is beveled out a little bit to make those magazine reloads a little bit easier to guide in. So we'll start there since we're going to do it side by side. The frame is beveled out and the Colt is not. All right, we'll move up to the grip safeties. If you can see the fit and finish work, the differences in them, it's not even close, folks. It's not even close. If you look at the way they work, we're going to move this one back and forth, and we'll move that one back and forth. If you can see how much more positive it is, it's not even close, folks. Now, if you look at the frame, the slide fit, they're fairly close on that, folks. I think the Dan Wesson may be fit a little bit better, but not a lot better. If you look at around the slide right here, how it's fit and finished here, so it's like, kind of like dehorned and all that like that. The Colt, not so much. It just kind of comes to an abrupt end on the end of this slide. So if you look at the ejection port, how this is finished off around here, it's a little sharp edged around this ejection port and everything like that. The metal right here where I'm holding my thumb on the Dan Wesson is going to be finished off quite a bit more nice. You know, it's not really that sharp or anything like that. So they paid a lot more attention to detail when they built something like this, and there's a lot of fitting goes into this, and that's where the price difference is. Now, price difference. This is going to cost a little bit more than this. We're talking about new ones, folks. Talking about new Colts, new Springfields, new Kimbers. You're going to pay a little bit more, but you're not going to pay a lot more. And what I showed you on this Colt here is what you can expect on, you know, a normal Kimber or a normal Springfield, or some of those two are the main ones that come to mind, and a Colt. Now, this is a Ford frame and a Ford slide on that, and the same as the Dan Wesson. It's just the fit and finish that goes to put it together. You know, and the stuff like working the safety and stuff like that, that's all in your fit work and hand work and putting it together, folks. And the machine work that goes into, you know, the deburring and the way this thing fits together and feels in your hand, just going to be a little bit more work, and that's where you're going to pay a little bit more. But you're not going to pay a lot more for this. It's not going to be a lot more, folks, and a lot more is all relative to what your budget is. But when you're looking at moving from a mid-tier 1911 like a Colt, Springfield, Kimber up to, you know, a semi-custom gun like that, you're not really, you're really not worried about a couple dollars, you know. You just want to get the most budget that you can for the amount of money you're going to spend. If you were stepping all the way up into the custom world with the Nighthawks and the Wilsons and all that, money's going to really not be a factor there. You're not going to really worry about money because you're going into it knowing it's going to cost a lot. This thing here, I would be safe to say that you're going to spend $500 to $600 more on something like this than you will on a regular mid-tier 1911. I think that's a safe assumption to say. And if you took this Colt here, if you took this Colt and had sent it off and had everything tightened up and sharpened and deboard and all that, would you spend more than $500 to get that done? You absolutely would. It's not even going to be close. So is it worth it to buy like Dan Wesson? I think so. If you want to take that next step and go up and have a really nice, high-end, high-quality, USA-made 1911, I mean, I would jump all over one of these in a heartbeat. If I'm just a novice person, didn't have a large collection and very deep pockets, and a 1911 was my thing, this is what I would recommend to stuff or people, folks. I mean, this thing is absolutely fantastic for the money that you spend. And to be honest with you, I don't even understand how they can build this gun this cheap. I think it really goes back to the Colt revolvers that I've done comparisons to, the Colt Pythons that used to be hand fit, and now they have the new ones at a fraction of the cost. And CNC machines, they're pretty exact, and there ain't a lot of hand fitting goes on in them, and they are high quality guns also. So take a look at some of these things. Just Dan Wesson, I think this is probably the best thing on the market for the money. And you're going to spend a little bit more in a Kimber or a Springfield, but you're going to get a lot more in value. So if you have any questions on these, folks, feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer any questions that I know how to answer honestly. And thank you very much for watching my video today, and you folks have a great day.